Hi, welcome back to the channel. So another day in the garage and time to get this bike back together. So still got a couple of little bits to do before I get the bike all finished getting it built. So the original headlight cowl, I drilled and tapped it, and basically I'm going to fit this mesh grille that I got for about £6 on eBay. It's a stone guard, more for looks than anything. One thing that will set the bike off a bit different to the rest of the classic 350s. So I just drilled that, tapped it on, gave the whole lot of matte black paint. So first of all, let's get this headlight assembly all together. It's just a reverse of how I took it to bits. Putting the side lights in, they just plug in, and then refitting the top for the ignition and the plain badge on the right where you can fit a Garmin GPS device. It holds on the washer, the rubber seal rather, for the speedometer. These all just clip in, quite straightforward to fit. Once they are fitted, I just put on the covers for the side lights. Resprayed black now. I'm just putting a bit of oil in an old magnetic tray just to dip all nuts and bolts in as I assemble the whole bike. So now the tricky bit, getting this headlight in. Going on taking it to bits, I now know if you're going to take one of these off, drop the forks out first, and that definitely makes it a lot easier. And then you just got to loosen the speedo nut that screws the speedo, and you can pull the whole lot up. Also, the two rubber rings that hold the indicators, make sure they've got some GT85 or silicone on them, and it'll make the forks slide in when you reassemble. So it was just a case of feeding all the wiring in, make sure it's all sitting where it sort of was, hopefully. I could turn the bars a few times as well as I was doing this, just to check everything's okay. I never done the handlebars, you see, until all this was going to be done. That'll be in the next film. So we get the speedo slotted in and tighten that up. There's a bracket underneath, you see that, and it's angled the same as the sides of inside. It's take a note of it with your phone if you dismantle it, so you put it in the right way. And just get a wee ratchet spanner or a small 10mm spanner in there just to tighten it. There you go. So there's the bracket that holds it all in together. So these rubber clamps, they kind of just cushion these two fork covers in the headlight. So it's just a case of working those rubber mounts back and forward, and it all slots in. And I just put those bolts back in. I didn't have to take those bolts out when I dismantled the bike. A movable workshop spotlight would have been handy for in here. So with the speedo tightened, I've plugged that connector back in and make sure the wee red fastener's up. And then I re-threaded the side light wires back in underneath the cable ties on each side and plug them in. And that's all the wiring ready inside the headlight. So I didn't have to take off the bolts here that hold on those rubber bands. You just loosen them. So just nipping them up slightly just now. Make sure that cable there is in its little located hole. I just put some GT85 on the fork tubes just to make them slide in a bit easier, and then it's just a case of slotting the forks in and just work them up. It was a wee bit tight, just take your time and soon pops up. Oh, and there goes the securing bolt at the top. So I pushed that one up. So you'll only be able to tighten these down so far, and then it'll start rotating the fork. So what I did is I put the front spindle through both forks, and stops the whole lot rotating, allows you to tighten them up. And that means you know they've pulled the forks right up as well, right up into the top. So just tighten the bottom yoke bolts up, and then do your rubber bands that hold your indicators on, and then it's a few wee bits to do. We'll come back later and get the headlight on. I'm going to finish a wee bit of that. That's us though. That's the hardest job, I think, of the whole lot. Headlight in. Yeah. All good though. Okay, front mudguard back on again. So we put the mud flap back on, which I bought for £6. Brilliant value little part. It makes a big difference in wet weather, along with these massive mudguards. So bolt this back on. Now I worked out after fitting this, if you turn the fork lowers 90 degrees, so all the mountings are pointing out the way, the mudguard slides straight up, and then you can just rotate the fork lowers back down. Add compressed inside the mudguard stays there, but that's the way to put one back on, or take it off without damaging your paint. So with this on, once we get this tightened up, we'll get the front wheel back on, the front brake caliper, and we're back on its wheels.
Go.
So the rear mudguard, the mounts, frame mounts are attached by 4 bolts either side. Now I left my pannier mounts on, I should have really took them off. Bit of laziness on me, and it would make it just bit more cumbersome to handle. But anyway, get the light cluster on, just bolts back on, and feed the cable through the bendy clips, and then just get it offered up to the bike where there's 2 bolts either side to attach those frames back on.
Go.
So back round everything, double check it's all tight, and you can see there the pillion replacement rear rack. There's a wee gap, that's for your seat to slot in. The big long bolt's missing this now, but I'm going to make a modification to my seat so it'll go in and out of that easier. You'll see that in a bit. So I'm just tightening up all the pannier mounts as well, and then those rubber grommets go in to the frame, and that's the back end back on. So we've still got the side panels to put on, and tank, seat, headlight, then handlebars to change. So I'll do the headlight now, it's ready to all plug in. This is how easy it is to change in a garage forecourt. A bulb, say if it blows, you've got the 2 side threaded bolts, and that's it. Simple, brilliant. That's how a bike should be, simple and easy to fix at the side of the road. I really like that, that's cool. So side panels are another one of these jobs where you think people must have 3 hands. They're quite fiddly to get into, but just take your time and make sure you put that clip back on for the rubber band that holds your tools on the right hand side one. The left side is actually easier to get into, The little bendy ratchet that I have is great for doing jobs like this. So I've still got graphics coming for those side panels to cover the old graphics underneath. You won't see that raised bit on it once it's done. So, time to get the tank on. Straightforward, plug in the fuel, breather and the wiring. Happy days, everyone working okay. So, last film coming up and finishing off. We're going to get the bars changed. We're going to get that seat springs done in a little mod. And going to make some number plates up, which are quick release, just show plates for black and white photos and stuff and films. So, thanks for watching. Back shortly with the last film of this build. Bye for now.